The final Mishnah in Masechet Shevi'it, Perek Yud Mishnah Tet, continues the conversation about Pruzbol, about Shmitat Ksafim, about the idea of returning debts. And it actually says that Hamachzir Chov Bashvi'it, that if you return a debt that was canceled by Shemitah, Ruach HaChamim Nocha Mimeno, that the sages, the rabbis, are happy about this. They think it's good, that even though technically you're not obligated to return a debt any longer, that you can still do so. You can still and should perhaps do so because this is helpful to other people, and you shouldn't want to benefit from money that technically probably really shouldn't have been yours. I remember many years ago I visited a Shiva house in Kiryat Gat in Israel of an Indian Jewish family. And the Indian Jews were sitting there, sitting Shiva, but while normally at a Shiva house that I'm used to at least, people all gather around the family and are paying their condolences. Here, that was happening too, but the primary focus of the Shiva house was a meal that was taking place next to where the people were sitting Shiva. And as the people are sitting there, on the floor sitting Shiva, everyone else is enjoying a major feast. And I say to my friend, what's going on here? Why is there this feast going on? How can this be the focus of the Shiva house? And my friend says to me, that's because the family wants everyone to have this feast, as is the custom in the Indian Jewish community, so that if there was any debt that the deceased owed anyone in the community, they would come, they would eat, and therefore the debt would be repaid. This idea of making sure that even if technically I don't owe someone something anymore, that it's still going to be repaid. A value of taking care of community, perhaps, and of repaying debts. And repairing bonds between people that could be strained or stressed by a debt that would potentially have to be repaid. As Chazal focused on this idea within the question of the larger values of Shevi'it, I think a lot about the other larger values of Shevi'it, of Shemitah, that we've learned about in the other chapters of the Masechet. The ideas of Shabbat Haaretz, the idea of making sure that we don't just do Shemitah technically, but really bring the values of Shemitah, the idea of resting the land, of resting people, of providing an opportunity for people to really reset themselves and refresh themselves spiritually, that all of those ideas really come out throughout the Masechet. And I think it's important for us to think about that and acknowledge the fact that Shemitah, in many ways, Shemitah has really been, and continues to be, for those of us in the middle of it right now, an opportunity to think, to slow down, to feel a sense of reset and refresh. And while there are technical halachot around that have to do, at least in Eretz Yisrael, with the land, and beyond that, for example, as we see with the idea of Shmitat Ksafim, of repaying of debts, that there's an economic reset that takes place as well, that really at the end of the day, this Shemitah and all Shemitahs provide for us the opportunity to slow down, to think, and to appreciate the world that God has given us. I'm standing here in the Bronx, in the forest, in Van Cortlandt Park. There are cars going by in the background, but I am in a forest, and I appreciate what it means to be out in nature, to be out appreciating what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us, and to be able to stop our creativity a little bit, and to step back and to appreciate what God has given us is a gift of Shemitah. It's a gift that gives us the opportunity to think about the way that we treat society around us and the way we treat this earth. So as we appreciate this Shabbat Haaretz, Shabbat of debts, and Shabbat of society in certain ways, this year-long Shabbat, we have a chance to slow down and to thank God for that opportunity. So Shmitat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. I hope you've enjoyed this series that we've learned together as we've gone through the Masechet of Shemitah, of Shevi'it, and really to have the opportunity to appreciate this mitzvah and all of the different ramifications of it that we've learned about in these chapters of the Mishnayot and from these wonderful scholars who've shared their videos with us. So thank you so much. Kol Tuv and Shalom.